Hey guys, so today's show is all going to be about the test side. Now that the dust has settled after the New Zealand tour, I thought I wanted to get your guys' opinion on who you guys think are the best players to make up that test side. And I've created a couple of graphics for you guys just to go through the names, but I've based it off what the current situation is. So I've created the graphics based on what Shukri's current 11 is. And then to make up the rest of the squad, I've added a couple of names that I maybe feel should be thought about to fill out the rest of the spots. I've also mentioned some notable mentions that I've also put down some notable mentions that I think should also be thought about, maybe from my side. You guys can tell me if you agree or disagree with those names. So I've also created a graphic with an 11 based on the current the last series against India, and with the news that Dean Alger's retired, how that team could possibly line up. But that's just to give context to the show and to give you guys some names so that you guys know what we're talking about and you know what names you can pick from possibly. And then you guys can also give me your thoughts on who you guys would like to see in the test squad and in the test 11. I see you guys have been very busy in the live chat already before the show starts, so thank you a lot for that. So I'm going to have my day cut out for me today on the show to go back and read these comments. I hope that they don't disappear. But before we get going, before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. We are really close to that 5,000 subscriber mark. I think we're only about 500 subscribers till the 5,000 mark. So please share this to everybody far and wide. If you know any people that are interested in South African cricket, and if it's family members, whether it's colleagues, whether it's a work colleague, or maybe someone that you just know likes cricket and South African cricket, please send them our way. This is the perfect community for them to have conversations, to give their opinions, and to do all of those type of things. I'd also like you guys to please download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now, as well as in the description. It's all free, all of the issues. So please go ahead and get that right away. We've also recently launched something very exciting called the Business Corner. This is for businesses, and particularly small businesses, entrepreneurs, or people trying to sell products, etc., brands that are looking to market to a cricket audience effectively and affordably. We've created a marketing system that we can insert into your business on top of everything else that you're already doing to try and help you guys market effectively and affordably to a cricket audience. If you are a business that is maybe doesn't want to market to cricket business, you can still go to the link, click on the link, and follow the descriptions and follow the instructions, and still have a conversation with us, and we'll try to help you as best as possible. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have had to say. A very good evening. Welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid Mohideen. This is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And I thought it would be very fitting for us to discuss the test squad now that the New Zealand tour is over. We never really got to see what we wanted on the channel over here. We've been discussing this and we've been following it closely. I've been getting up in the mornings, covering the games. We had a Baidu reports, and I did my reviews the morning after the test, or the morning after the day's play, to give you guys the best possible time for us to discuss everything and talk about each day. We had an analysis before the series that the batting is probably going to be our best aspect of the game. That was the thought processes that we were having here on the channel. And because we knew those domestic players and we knew what they could do. We've seen how they perform domestically, and we knew that type of characters they were. But only one player really impressed, in my opinion, and that was David Bellingham. A half century and a century in this on this particular tour. KP showed flashes, never converted his scores. He got 40s in 2 games. And Neil Brandt was good with the ball, with a bat. He showed some character with the bat, but never really kicked on after getting good starts. So it was a little bit disappointing from him, I think. Um, I wasn't particularly going to. I'm not going to particularly jump and say that he should open the batting with Dean Elgar at this moment, but there is something there that could be worked with. Maybe he could get a series down the line. Let's see. It would work obviously with the left and right hand combination as well. And so after this, and Ruan de Swat was also very impressive, I think. Besides the fact that he's bowling, he's not necessarily bowling quite a high speed, only hit about around 118 kilometers per hour consistently. He was very good with the bat, and that's what impressed me the most. The character he showed with the bat in very difficult circumstances after the team collapsed, etc., and he really did well. So, from that perspective, I think that he also needs a little bit of a shout out. And so, I thought that I wanted to do a show to get the fans' perspective on where we are at with the Test 11. So, I put a graphic together, but the graphic that I put together is first and foremost, I put the names down that Coach Shukri is trusting at this very moment, because I'm not going to make predictions on what he's going to do. I'm making a kind of put everything together on based on what he has done. So I put a squad together um, for you guys to see, and I filled in the rest of the names just based on who I would maybe like to see get into the side. So first and foremost, with the batting department, Aiden Markram, Tony DeZorzi, Bedingham, Temba, Tristan Kyle, Keegan. Those are the guys that have played against India. So I think that I'm going to put them down here on this particular squad because those are the guys that Coach Shukri trusted recently. With regards to Tristan Stubbs, I don't think it's necessarily fair to only give him one test series or and then drop him, or one test match and then drop him. I think he deserves maybe another test match to show what he can do in a little bit more favorable conditions than what he got at Newlands. And then I've thrown one extra name in to fill up a batter spot. I thought that you'd wanted a little bit of extra batters, and I've put Ryan Rickleton in there because I do feel that he deserves another opportunity after only getting a short spell under Coach Shukri. Then in the all-rounders department, I put Marco Jansen and I put Gerald Coetzee there as a number 8 all-rounder as well, because he does bat a lot. He does bat a bit, and I think his batting is a lot better than maybe a lot of people may think. So I've thrown him in the all-rounder department as well. Then Keshav Maharaj is the spinner, and then Kagiso Rabada, Nande Berger, Lungingiri, Anich Nokia as the seamers. And then I've thrown in some notable mentions that have been in and around the squad, and also who I feel maybe should get another opportunity. Simon Armour, he's been in there. If you're going to play two spinners, he's a good option to have. I've thrown in Ruan de Swat because he impressed on the New Zealand tour. Neil Brandt is one of the guys that we could maybe look at, maybe to open. There could also possibly be maybe someone else from the domestic scene that we could maybe look at as an opener. But when you look at the guys that have been opening well over the last few seasons, perhaps they need one more season just to settle themselves in and to show what they are capable of. I've thrown Vian Mulder in here as well because he's been in and around the squads. And he's been in extremely good form recently. He scored a massive 100 for the Lions in the recent game. And he's really looking quite good. He's really looking like he's starting to find his feet. So that's the squad that I came up with based on the criteria that I mentioned. And if you were going to pick an 11 out of this particular squad, this is what I came up with based on the squad that was available. And if you're going to play the spinner, obviously in Keshav. So Aiden, Tony, Temba, David, Keegan, Kyle, and Marco, Gerald, Kagiso, Andrich, and Keshav. So obviously Keshav will bat higher up, but I just put it in that order for now. And That could obviously switch around. I'm just going based on what Coach Shukri's kind of selections have been recently, and just pushed some people up based on Dean Alga's retirement. Now, this is not necessarily my best 11. This is not maybe necessarily the 11 that I'm saying, okay, this is going to be the 11. I just try to put an 11 together to give you guys maybe a starter on where we're at currently with where the squad is. The show is not just about my opinion over here. So I wanted the show to be interactive with you guys to see what you guys have to say about the squad and where we are at sitting with the test team. Like I said, there's still a position available. I think that someone like in the number 3 position, if we can bring someone straight in to open, then Tony will bat at 3. But if we're going to shift Tony up, then someone can slot in at 3. There's lots of options out there, maybe like Matthew Brzezinski, perhaps. We could even move David Bedingham to that number 3 position, and then the 5 slot is open. So there are options out there that are viable for the position, and it would be interesting to know what you guys think and who you would like to select for the side. I think that we probably going to see Marco Janssen in that 7 position. I pretty much certain that that's where Coach Shukri is going to lean. But it is an option because just so that you could have that mean pace attack of Jerukutsia, Anrik Nokia, KG Rabada, as well as Marco Janssen. So that's a really strong, quick, feisty pace attack. And then you can also throw it in with the skills of Keshav Maharaj, and maybe you can choose between Nandre or you can Lungi Ngidi, etc. One of those guys could also come into the mix, perhaps. But Andre KG is a must. So we all know that, and it's pretty straightforward. From there, you build the bowling attack around them. It's going to be interesting to see what we're going to do because the West Indies is going to be up next. That's the next test series that we're going to be playing. And we're going to be playing them in the West Indies. So there is quite some time to prepare for that, and we'll be, by that time we'll see the end of the 4-day series, and we'll kind of know where the coach is sitting and what he's thinking going into that series beforehand. We'll be able to have a complete season of first-class cricket as well. So we'll be able to see who the top scorers were, who the top players were that really did well there. And we can really then work with that and maybe talk about potential players. August is the tour of the West Indies, where we play 2 test matches. There aren't any tests before that. So it would be nice if we could get maybe a test series in there, maybe against an associate nation or something, or a non-associate nation or something, or just get against another team, maybe like an island or whatever the case may be. So that's something that I wanted to look at when it comes to that. So let's get into the live chat because you guys have been very busy here, and the show is about you guys. Lawrence says, I think it's time for bold calls to be made in the test side. I know Shukri likes KP and Hamza as he worked with him before at the academy, but I think it's time to move on. In my opinion, they're not cutting it at the moment. And I was disappointed with KP, but he was the problem was that he wasn't converting his scores, and he was so close in both of those test matches in the 40s and not being able to convert. Why I was upset was the decision to play the shots that he did. Now, that's something that I can't understand. That's an experienced guy making those decisions is boggling to me, because in those situations you should be able to um, know the situation and be a little bit more mature to not make those mistakes. The same with Zubair Hamza. He's experienced enough to know that. And what upset me the most is the fact that they did all the hard yards. They worked so hard to get themselves in, and then they just threw their wickets away, played poor shots at the bad time. So I was disappointed with both of these guys because I felt they needed to step up on this tour, being the two that were more experienced in the side. Lauren says there are guys like Rickerton, Stubbs, and Brzezinski who have been really good seasons the last couple of years. Rickerton has dropped after hardly getting a fair check, yet we keep guys like Verena. Lauren says Shukri says one thing, but then goes and does another. Look at the Kyle and Klaassen situation. Dropped Kyle Verena and Andy Klaassen and calls Andy his guy, but 2 tests later he gets dropped and he retires. There must have been something that he didn't like. Actually seeing him in action in Test cricket. Um, and with the form that Kyle Verena has been in, I don't think Andy Klaassen should have been picked in the first place, in my opinion. I was always on the Kyle train. Um, but Kyle is showing he is showing some weaknesses in Test cricket that I hope that he's worked on and ironed out. He's really changed his game in first class cricket. He's playing a lot more positive in 4-day cricket. But you can't do that when we're playing in the 4-day arena. We know that the gap is quite big. You're gonna get a lot of loose deliveries, and it gives you an opportunity to play a more attacking brand because you're going to get a lot more opportunities to play shots. So that's actually what's been happening with regards to the difference in the levels. Oops, sorry for that. Lawrence says Ruanda Swat also needs to be spoken about. He did his chance, no harm at all. I know Mulder is doing well right now, but we've seen Vian do well for the Lions before, but still struggle at test level. Neil Brandt says Armin. I would go with Neil Brandt, says Dex. Kani gives his 11. He says Aiden, Brandt, Rickleton, Temba, Bedinger, Mulder, Verena, Janssen, Kesh, Berger, KG, and Norkia. Kani says, I see sometimes Shukri is not bold enough to drop Kesh and go for all pace attack, but having Brandt as an option might make Shuks to drop Kesh. It's all about conditions with Coach Shukri. I don't think it's about boldness. He goes with what he feels is the right condition, right players for the right conditions at a specific time. Very disappointed with Hamza. Expected 100 in New Zealand from him, but that guy think that he is AB de Villiers and try to slog sweep Russian for 6 as well as try to pull the ball for 6. Matt 92 says, I feel there are better openers than Brandt, Richards, and Herman. Yeah, me too. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying Neil Brandt and they were impressed with Neil. I mean, I wasn't so impressed with Neil that I'm going to say he's a definite in the side, personally. I think that those wickets that some of the wickets that he conceded is a concern. The concern is that every game it was get yourself in and then go out. It wasn't like it was every game like that. And yes, in the first 2 games, he got some good deliveries that were difficult to play and then lost his wicket. But still, in my opinion, I think there are guys domestically that are better. But for Richards and Herman, I think one more season would be good for them in domestic cricket, I feel. And then I think a call up can come if the opener that is chosen by Coach Shukri isn't performing and hasn't been able to adjust and find their feet in Test cricket. Look here, a lot of Test players have had struggling careers at the beginning. Callas took ages to get himself in to Test cricket and to start scoring major runs. Hashim Amla had a difficult start, went away, came back, did exceptionally well. And then you had Dean Alga that got a pay on debut. So there have been guys that have struggled at Test level and then become legends in the game. So not everybody is going to take to Test cricket like a duck to water. Some of them are going to have to tough it through. And if you can see something in the player's technique, mentality, and approach, then you give him an extra go and another opportunity. If you see that there's some technical flaws that maybe can't be worked out with more Test games, then maybe you need to make a bold decision and then send them back to domestic cricket to work on those couple of things. So I think that's what's the job of Coach Shukri will be going forward. Because we don't have many Test matches to test players for long periods of time, it kind of makes things difficult a bit to blood in young talent because we don't really have many Test matches to see a player settle in. They kind of have to almost show signs early on. Show signs doesn't necessarily mean go score 50 or 100 on debut, but it's showing signs that you can handle the pressures of Test cricket, and you can concentrate for long periods. You can, because you can, anybody can get a good ball, and lose their wicket. Clenrice, or CLNRE. I never know how to pronounce this. It was reported that Shukri told Alga that he did not feature in his future plans. Do you think he has also said this to the other older players, example Simon Harmer? Perhaps. I think more in the. I think maybe he's done that in the batting department because that is the weakness in the side currently. We've got so many young bowlers coming through the system that it's kind of almost easy to pick a bowling attack. The players that are coming through are really, really talented and really, really good. And the ones that have been given opportunity, like for example, Nandre Berger has been very comfortable. He looked very comfortable at this level. So Gerald Coetzee, Marco Janssen showing their quality as well. So I think in the batting department, there's a little bit more of an emphasis on this because we're going to need, because with batting, you kind of need to play over a period of time and grow your game and etc. And feel the quality, because feel the level, because that's where you'll feel the level a lot more, I think, than in the bowling department. Um, some bowlers can do exactly what they do at domestic level and still get success. A good example of that was Dane Patterson now in New Zealand. He just stuck to what he did in domestically, and it kind of brought him success. I think with a little bit of extra pace, he would have gotten a lot more wickets. Ah, my eyes. Neil Brandt is also first option for me to open the batting. You don't select him and make him captain just to completely drop him from the next squad. Shukri also wanted him for the India series. Mad 92 says I'd get Herman to open, give him 5 or 6 tests to try and cement his place in the test side. I wish we had those amount of tests in quick succession. He's going to have to play that whole August period, that period at the end of the year, because we've got quite a few test matches coming up in that end of the year period. So I personally think that maybe Herman needs another season, and to show to show his capabilities. He's still very young, so I think that there's time for him. And I think that I personally would want to see Tony Rizzosi open the batting and see what he can do there in his position that he bats for Western Province. Yashasvi says Rasif and Addison can be in test. I think Coach Shukri's moved on from him. Pubik says I like Zozi to open Bretsky at 3. Bretsky is a good option. He's been doing really well in first class cricket for a while now. He's been playing first class cricket since a very young age, and has played really well in all of these seasons, almost all these seasons that he's played. So that could be a potential option because that number 3 spot is available. Matt 92 says Herman, Aiden, De Zorzi, Pavuma, Benningham, Rickerton, Janssen, Maharaj, Rabada, and Berger and Nokia. So you won't have Gerald Coetzee in your team. Burbick says Rickerton at 6 maybe. He deserves a long run, outstanding first class record. Lawrence says Bayes Swanepoel should be another notable mention. Bayes is good, but I also feel Bayes needs another season or two to show his capabilities with the bat. Not with his bowling, because we can know what he can give with his bowling, but I think he needs to show a little bit more with the bat, more consistently, and then I would select him because I would pick him as an all-rounder, not as a bowler alone, in my opinion. Lorenzo says KP had his chances, so it's time to move on. Get Bretsky to replace him in the squad. Ahmed said I would give Brandt one more series, the West Indies. Kani says definitely George Linder as the third spinner for Bangladesh tour. Wesley says for tour to the West Indies, Markram, Brandt, De Zorzi, Rickelton, Beddingham, Bavuma. Bavuma at 6. Verreina, Janssen, Maharaj, Coetzee, and Rabada. No Andrich. Andrich will be fit by then, August. Mat 92, Kesh and Harmer will be played together when SA play in the subcontinent. Lawrence Bailey says Josh Richards could also come into a conversation to open the batting, been really good for a few seasons. Yeah, so 2 seasons or so. Aiden and Brandt for the Open for West Indies, says Dex. Burbick says Van Buren in the mix. I think Van Buren needs to show a little bit more at first class level, in my opinion. Lorenzo says, according to Dane, Pete Shukri is the reason why he's back in SA playing domestic cricket. So I don't think Dane will not feature. And to be honest, Shukri is a strange one. You never know what you get. Kani says, Darren the problem is a good bowling option in subcontinent. Our other pacers are more of a hit the deck bowlers, and Darren the problem is more of a skiddy bowler. Wesley says, my concern with Swanepoel is he does not have the pace. Burbika Batman is an option also. Steelman no longer in the picture. Why? I just think that he hasn't really showed much domestically, enough domestically, I feel, compared to the other guys that have been selected, Lawrence says, from the best 11, KP drops out for Bresky or Stubbs, and Kyle drops out for Rickleton, with him taking the gloves as well. We could also play both Ricks and Kyle if Kyle gets another go. Amma says Brandt is classy. Kani says average is of our batters, Tony 20, KP 28, Kyle 27. Matt 92 says Bellingham is perfect in the number 5 role. He's at his best when he plays his natural game. And I think so too. I think so as well. Arman says Nandre. Wesley is Nokia fit. Not at this moment, but by the time West Indies comes around, I'm sure he will be fit. Burbick says surely Rickerton is ahead of Stubbs in selection options. Based on the last test series, I'm taking it based off that. Rickerton wasn't even in the squad, so I'm basing it off that. Rickerton deserves as a fair crack in his test side, not one test here and there. We don't play a lot either, so give him peace of mind picking him for 3-4 series straight. Burbick says Lazard is also around. That's true. Kani says Khalid, it's unfair to drop Kyle. I think he was dropped after Australia tour and just came back against India. Need to give a proper chance, maybe another series against. I agree with you. Wesley says concern is a lot about is our best bats or keepers. Best batters or keepers, yeah. Sanjay says, hey bro, Khalid SA at least gave New Zealand a run for their money. I'm so proud of them. They'll be a strong team once their main players return. Yeah, of course. I mean, I was impressed with the fight that some players played, but I wasn't impressed with the way we lost our wickets. I think better decision making could have been made, but fair play to them for putting up the fight when put in that difficult situation. Lorenzo, but Khalid KP never ever converted in Test cricket, and he's been getting a fair crack for 3 years straight. Yeah, and I understand that. And for me also personally, I'm starting to kind of lose my patience with KP a bit, because he should be converting those scores. Now, if you look at his scores at domestic level, you'll see that he has a lot of 50s and some hundreds, but he doesn't convert there either to take that next step. So there's a conversion problem there. If they can work on that mental blockage that he has to convert scores, because to score 50 is obviously a lot easier in first class cricket, but then to convert into the 100 is the hard part. In Test cricket, when it's difficult conditions, particularly, to get that first 50 is hard. So to convert from 30, 40 into 50 is difficult. So they need to work on that. He needs to work on that mental side of things, because there's something lacking mentally there. He definitely has the technique and the ability. We can see that when in New Zealand, we saw that I think he batted well until those 40s, and then something just switched off in his head. What we saw with KP New Zealand is no different to what we've been seeing the past 3 years since the India series in 2021. Just not good enough. Harsh, I know. Text Neil Brandt is our future. But what we've seen from KP has been better than the other players that have come into the mix. Yes, they've only got 1 or 2 or 3 tests to show it, but he looks a lot more solid at the crease. Um, we have to admit that at least. So it's a difficult one to make the decision. Do we look at it, each individual player and then what they're doing, or do we look at it as a whole and say, okay, who looks more the part? So that's a decision that Coach Shukri is going to have to make. Bubik says, I think Hamza is a different case to KP. Hamza has much better first class record. I think, is he not younger? Also, he is younger, yes. Bubik says, keep an eye on Bryce Parsons, scored a massive 100 for the Dolphins in that last round of the 4-day fixtures. Askaya says, Brandt, Joshua Richards, Aiden, Bavuma, Beddingham, Verena, Swanepoel, Maharaj, Kutsi, Ngidi, and KG. Matt 92 says, when Brandt opens, it looks like he's trying to survive. It does. And that's why I said I'm not necessarily very, very impressed with what I saw from him. That's just what my opinion is. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, but I wasn't as impressed with him to say, okay, he definitely deserves the opening spot. Yeah, he maybe can get another go, but I didn't see something to say, wow, like this guy needs to be in the first 11, like what David Bedingham did. And I know David, we knew this from the India series already, you could see that. But yeah, in my opinion, I would go. I mean, Ruan de Swart showed more, in my opinion, on this tour than Neil Brandt, from my perspective. Very unfair for Rudy second. Should have been in the side when Conte Cock retired from tests. He didn't have a SA20 deal, so at least he should have played instead of retained in New Zealand. LJ, the man says, okay, there's his team. Brandt, Markram, De Zorzi, Bedingham, Pavuma, De Swart, Verena, Janssen, Maharaj, Rabada, and Berger. No Nokia there. Herman needs to play one more season of domestic cricket, says Lorenzo. Burbick says, if Brandt plays, is it as a batter or all-rounder? Well, I would say a batter first, because they won't always bowl him. Afzal says Rickerton should be in the team, even if it means as a wicket-keeper batsman, but surely he has to be there. He needs to be there from a batting perspective alone, I feel. I think he does deserve a chance to show what he can do. Lorenzo says, I also see people saying Mapaka should be selected. I think it's too soon for that, guys. We just don't learn as a fan base. Yes, he's amazing talent, but he needs to at least 2 seasons of domestic cricket. This is not under 19 level. Exactly. And also, he's never played first-class cricket. How can you just throw him into a test match? The guys won't be conditioned for it at all. He needs some time to go develop and grow and learn more about the domestic game. The domestic game is so important to preparing. It's the only way we can prepare our players for test cricket. So we need to give them that chance at least to do that. Alja the man says Dane Pitt for Bangladesh. Akshay says Rivaldo Munsami average 14 first-class cricket with a bat. Underrated wicket-keeper batsman, can be given a thought. Yeah, but it's his first season playing in Division 1, I think. So let's give him another season or so. I think maybe one more season. If he can repeat this season, next season, then by all means we can start talking about him. Lorenzo says, I don't think people that watch Brandt to open a bad. I don't think people that want Brandt to open I don't think it's a bad take at all. No, that's definitely not what I'm saying. Me personally, I wouldn't go that direction. But I'm not against people's opinion on saying that's an option. He did captain in New Zealand, and he opened the batting there against a very good New Zealand attack and showed good signs. I just felt not enough for me to say that he should open. And domestically, no hundreds in that good season that he's had. So that is a little bit of a concern for me. It was 550s and no hundreds, and that's a bit of a concern for me. Unfortunately for Bayers, Janssen is ahead of him in the 7th spot. Bubik, who is the real baby Al Herman or Brandt? I don't think we should compare them. There's different types of they're different type of players, all three of them. Um, they Alge is a real tough pit bull, grind it out, take the blows type of player, no nonsense type of player like that. Whereas Herman has a little bit of more class team, I feel. What would be yours picks in the SA for 11 in the T20? I'm not going to talk about T20s now, Prashant. Kani says, I see a lot of Brand fans in the chat. Burbick says, why not the Zozi over Brandt Open? That would be my pick. He's been in the test side. Opening is his more natural position based on his domestic capabilities. And then we've got an option of picking a number three, which was always something that we were struggling to do anyway. We need to find a number three, I feel. I see people say, give Kyle another go. How many chances should a player get, though? He played around 20 tests and still averaged 20s. So when do you pull the plug? Because other guys don't get this much time. But he's got 100 at test level. Um, so, yes, he might only average what he averages, but he's shown that he can score a test 100. That's not a small feat, you know. He hasn't necessarily had um, I don't think he's had enough games to say no. He scored 250s and 100 already, so he's gotten some decent scores. So I think he does deserve another go. Most of Hamza's first class runs was at 3 day level and not genuine first class 4 day level. No, I don't think that's true, eh? I don't think that's actually true. I know he scored a double hundred for Western Province, but he after that season he went straight into the Cobra side, and he scored quite a few hundreds for the Cobras, and then now he scored for Lions now as well. Calvert is young and had shown he can score runs at test level. If he bats 7, then averaging around 30 to 35 is surely okay. Lauren says we can't be having some type of energy towards KP for not really taking his chances, but at the same time keep saying let's give Kyle another go. KP has also looked better at test level than Kyle. Uh, I think it's it's different for the two of them. Um, KP scored 40s, yes, but and then since then has gone dry. Where Kyle's runs have come a little bit sporadic all over the show, and then he got dropped and after scoring 100, and then coming back into the side again. It almost seemed like almost on short notice, and then playing in difficult conditions. So I think that we would have seen a different Calvert against West Indies if he got that opportunity over Annie Klaas, and we would have seen Calvert in his element. I honestly do, but we're talking in hindsight now. Khalid Mutsami did play 4-day cricket for the main Titan side before. This is not his first season playing at this level. Yeah, no, but I mean, this is the first season that he's played. When I mean at this level, I mean at the level that he's playing at. That's the first season that he's actually playing at this level, topping the run scoring these massive runs. That's what I mean. Burbikal has much better first class record than KP. He also has a test 100. Kani says Tony also failed at test level, average only 20 in 2 test series. Actually, can Lewis Deploy get a chance to play for the Proteas just like Bedingham returned from Kolpak? No, because he's already qualified to play for England. Burbick says Tony has only played a handful of games, can't really judge. Dex says, to be honest, we should pick guys who know how to score hundreds or has score hundreds at the international level. I think hundreds do take a massive take a massive precedent over other of half centuries, for example. Khalid Ever also has a few 50s and 100, yet he got dropped, or is it because of age? Well, that's the same. That's the same case. Um, could have gotten a longer run, perhaps. But I felt that when Aiden came back, Aiden looked phenomenally greater than what he does. The levels between Cape. So if Ryan Rickleton came in and he looked amazing at Test cricket, then by all means drop Calvareda. But Ryan Rickleton came in, I know he only got a couple of tests, but looked a bit shaky. And then Coach Shukri decided to go with maybe someone more solid that has shown someone more solid in that position for the series against India. Not take another risk, a high risk again with someone that's another new guy coming into the system that's unfamiliar. So he gave that chance in the West Indies. Now, if Ryan came in and he did what David Bedingham did, then I would maybe have a different opinion right here, right now. But I think that Kyle's 100 and 250s holds a bigger weight over anything else at the moment out of other keepers in the country currently. Plus, his domestic form backs it up. And if his domestic form didn't back it up, because he's outperforming Ryan at domestic level by far, actually, at the moment. So if you look at that situation, yes, Ryan's batting in a different position, maybe team. But that's why I would go with Kyle currently. But that doesn't mean that Ryan doesn't deserve a spot maybe in the side in another position as a batter alone. So I think both should be given an opportunity. There's a spot available. When selecting batsmen for the test side, we must see which grounds they scored most of the runs as well. That's important. Glenda says Deploy said was an interview last year that he was still open to playing for SA. Yeah, last year. He told me that as well in an exclusive on the channel. But when the SA20 list was released, he was marked as an English player. Reason why I have become Bavuma at number 6, he is our best batter in a crisis, and his conversion rate is not good to be a top 4 batter. Bavuma seems to be best at the 4. Well, he's got a massive 100 against the West Indies at 4. Both Deploy and Bedingham qualify for UK citizenship this year, and David will play for SA. Maybe Deploy can also be persuaded. I think that Deploy already qualified to play for England. I don't know. I'm just basing that off what. I don't know why he was named as an England player on the SA20 list. We must stick with Rickleton. I believe he will come good. I don't know what Rickleton has to do to select it. That's why I put him in the squad, and I think he can. Maybe bat at maybe 3 or 4 in the test side. Personally, I mean, he's open for the Lions. I think he can bat. I think personally he could bat at 3. You could also bat him at 6 and have Kyle at 7. I think you can have both Kyle and Rickleton in the side. That's what my view is. I think both should be picked. Public says, could Rickleton open or bat 3 or Bedingham? That's also another potential option. I know we're calling for, a lot of us are calling for players to, a lot of us are calling for players to open the batting. Let's see something quickly. A lot of us are calling for people to open the batting at the moment because of, Dean Alga's retirement. Obviously, we're looking for an opener right now. But I feel that Tony Rizorzi as a natural opener and a left-hander is an option over there. I don't see why not. Um, I really don't see why not. Um, Rickleton bats at 4 for the Lions, so he could bat at 4 for South Africa, and I don't see why not. Um, why he can't be looked at as a potential number 4 and maybe move Pavuma to 3. I mean, that could also be another option, in my opinion. Ranger says I'd play both. Yeah, me too. I'd play both Kyle Verreynne and Ryan Rickleton. Me too. I believe Rickleton opened the batting early in his first class career. Yeah, I think so. But I know he bats at 4 currently, so that's an option. Dupoy played for cricket for Hungary. I saw the highlights. And so, yes, I agree. Both Kyle Verreynne and RR. Samar Joseph will be a handful. We need high-file players who are used to pace. Lorenzo says if we've been realistic, Tony will open the batting. Let's see if that does happen. Bar Marker and Mavuma, nobody's batting spot is safe. I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for joining in. Thanks a lot for watching the show, joining me. I haven't been having a difficult couple of months, but thanks a lot for joining in and being back at the 7 o'clock show. I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. I am trying to get some interviews. I've messaged some players, waiting on responses to see who's available to come on the show. I'm trying to get some interviews over the next couple of weeks. I'll keep you guys posted on social media so that you know who's coming on. You will obviously see the preview on YouTube. I put it up obviously before the time, so you guys will see the preview of the show, the thumbnail, to see who's coming on the show. But thanks a lot for your contribution, giving me your thoughts, telling me your 11s, your squads, etc. I think I learned a lot from your guys' opinions, etc., and what you are feeling. Stay safe, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Peace out.